Hello everyone, back to you in today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather next week to 10 days. In today's video, this will take us just about into the start of November actually, 10 days away. We'll be just heading into the opening days of November. And it looks like weather's on the turn. We've had a very warm October. It may turn out to be the warmest October on record. I think there's a little bit of doubt about that, but it's certainly going to be sort of a top 5 or top 10 warmest Octobers on record. I reckon be in the top 5. So it's certainly been a very mild month, but I think we will be seeing a bit of a change coming along as we go into the week to 10-day period. So we'll get our first sort of change coming up at the end of the week into weekend, when it will turn cooler. We'll see the temperatures returning back to normal, to average, and probably with some ground frost at night as well if skies are clear. And then next week we might get a further shot of northerly winds, and these ones could actually pull down some really quite cold air. So we might be seeing by around the 10-day time frame, we might be seeing sort of wintry showers getting into Scotland, and possibly night frost, widespread night air frost developing in the 7 to 10 day time frame. So I'll talk you through everything that's going on in a moment. Some big changes could be on the way for the next week to 10 days. Just say that over weekend there's loads and loads of updates. So if you haven't seen those updates yet, we did the 7th winter 2017-18 update. That's gone down very well. We also did our interpretation of the ECDS seasonal model for the winter, so that's gone down quite well as well. There was a written update for Christmas as well, so been loads of updates. You can find a link to all of those updates here on the homepage at gazhobbies.com, which will take you to the various pages where you can find, of course, the update that you are interested in. So let's get on with the weather for next week to 10 days now, and these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the PSU, Penn State University website. We've got the ECMDF here on the top. The GFS, which have a look in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the absolute high pressure, low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream. And this is essentially what weather is, a movement of air masses from the jet stream. Now on these charts, blue will be extrapolating to low pressure, and red, orange, extrapolating to high pressure. So we can see what's happening on the eastern. Yeah, we've got these blue colours here extending through Scandinavia in the 7 to 10 day time frame. So this takes us to around 2nd, 3rd of November. These blue colours extending through Scandinavia and into central and eastern parts of Europe. That's a big trough of low pressure that's setting up there. And then out to the west, close to the UK, we've got this ridge of above average heights, this ridge of high pressure. Now what this is doing, it's sending the flow on the jet stream into that sort of position. It's also a very deep trough into Eastern America. That's going to pull some very cold air down into eastern parts of the States in the 7 to 10 day time frame. But for us in Europe, the flow is going something like that. So it's bringing a proper push of winter down into northern and northeastern and some eastern parts of Europe. You'll be getting your first sort of Arctic plunge of air coming along in the 7 to 10 day time frame. But the UK, France and sort of Western Europe, we're closer to this ridge, so on the periphery of the colder air. It will certainly be cooler. This is a significant change in the position of the ridge, where through October this ridge has generally been sitting to the south and southeast of the British Isles, bringing up warm southerly winds and southwesterly winds into Western Europe. This is quite a significant shift of the ridge out to the west of Europe. So even for us in the UK and Ireland and down to France, where we're on the periphery of this colder trough, we won't get that direct shot of cold air on that sort of scenario, but we will turn quite substantially cool. We can certainly start thinking about night frost coming along at the very least. This is the GFS, which is very similar. Again, the ridge is pulling out to the west, but the difference with this is that the ridge is actually going further north. It's going up towards southern parts of Greenland. That does place us more in towards this trough of cold air that's setting up across the northern parts of Europe. So the flow and the jet stream again doing something rather like that. So again, we are just on the periphery of this cold trough that's sinking down into northern and eastern parts of Europe. We're on the edges of it, but closer to it on that situation compared to the eastern US. They both imply quite substantial changes in the weather pattern. The long wave pattern is shifting, if this is right, and we are going to start feeling the time of year that we are in, which of course is getting very close now towards the latter part of the autumn and heading in towards the early winter period. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles, or upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. Looking at Kingston upon Thames today, being asked to do a video using the ensembles for Kingston. So you can see the change quite clearly that is coming. We've got the red line here, which is the 30-year upper air temperature average, and we are above average at the moment, nice and mild, and set to stay that way for certainly the remainder of the working week. So towards Thursday, Friday should still be staying mild. Then we get that first sort of sliding temperatures going down towards the 30-year average. So it doesn't go cold over the weekend, but it does turn cooler, and it goes back much closer to where you would expect. But then this period just here, which is in sort of the 10-day time frame and beyond, that brings that second push of colder air down, and you see that actually then we are trending quite substantially above the 30-year temperature average. Now, all you'd say with that is that it is in the extended part of the model. This is sort of the extended region. This is the reliable part, and this is the unreliable part of the model and of the ensemble. So whilst there is quite a clear cooling trend taking place there, and we actually finish up at Kingston upon Thames looking quite cold by the time we get through to the start of November, obviously there's a bit of uncertainty about it because it is still quite a way away. In terms of precipitation, a lot of dry weather coming up through the rest of this week. There will be some showery bursts at times, but overall plenty of dry weather. Maybe more unsettled with this colder stuff through the first week of November. Although, again, that is in the unreliable part of the model. And even then, it doesn't look convincingly unsettled, you have to say that. Surface temperatures and air pressure for Kingston upon Thames in terms of the GFS ensemble. So here we go with surface temperatures first of all, looking like this. So this is 15 degrees Celsius just there, which for late October, early November, that's quite mild. This is 10 degrees Celsius, probably about average really for the maximum in early November. This is 5 degrees Celsius, which would be cold, and this is freezing, would deliver night frost. So we start off pleasantly mild there, possibly going up close to 20 degrees around the middle part of the week. But then through the weekend, we get this first sort of slide in temperature occurring just here. So we drop from above 15 degrees to, let's say, 12 or 13 degrees over weekend and into the start of next week. But then temperatures continue to fall through next week. There's a downwards trend coming along. So we actually go really quite cold through these opening days of November, going under 10 degrees Celsius before maybe signs of a little bit of a recovery taking place there. The minimum temperatures, well, no problems with frost over the next few nights, but as we get through the weekend, we possibly start seeing some ground frost, but next week we possibly do start going down to sort of air frost levels, so quite clearly again a decline in both maximum and minimum temperatures and upper air temperatures, all being signalled by the GFS ensembles for the next week to 10 days. Air pressure looks like this. We're at around 1,020 millibars at the moment. Actually go quite high with the pressure by the end of the week. We're close to 1,030, but after that we're dropping down and pressure is going quite low there once we get through to the start of November. That's just as we start to perhaps pull into that cold trough that's sinking down across much of northern and central Europe. Temperature anomalies for the next week, not doing anything particularly interesting. So this is from the 23rd through to 31st of October. They're coming out milder than average, no sign of anything particularly cold. I would expect these to be trending colder through the week, and we will be keeping an eye on them as the week progresses. But precipitation anomalies from the 23rd to the 31st of October, significantly drier than average in the west of Europe, wetter than average in central and eastern parts of Europe. That is as that cold trough starts to get going. So this is how the GFS is looking for Thursday, and we're still putting up relatively warm air from the south on Thursday, particularly for southern parts of the country. We might get temperatures up to up close to 20 degrees Celsius somewhere like central London around the middle part of the week, which is very warm really for late October. But by the time we go through to Friday, this is the start of the change to, at this point, just cooler temperatures. So the ridge now is becoming centred more towards Ireland, and we start to bring down this cooler air in towards the north. And then the high pressure stays with us really over the weekend. So lots of dry and fine weather coming up at the weekend. But you notice the isobars coming around this ridge are coming from generally a northwesterly type direction. So it's not cold, but it is cooler. The temperatures return closer to average. By night, if the skies are clear, there might be ground frost, especially so in the north. And temperatures by day probably into the low to mid-teens Celsius rather than the upper teens to low 20s Celsius, such as we're going to have in the next 2 or 3 days. So cooler over the weekend, but then early next week, this ridge starts to pull further out to west. This is Monday, a week away, when we're trying to turn the isobars around actually to a northerly wind. And what the GFS does, this is a midnight run of the GFS, what it does eventually, by the time you get through to day 10, does start to pull this ridge properly out to the northwest, takes it up towards Greenland, and of course there's the cold trough that's sinking down over Scandinavia. Some very cold and unsettled air coming in with that, and probably snowy for northern and northeastern parts of Europe. We've got this ridge pulling out towards Greenland, and that's opening the floodgates to those northerly winds. That's a proper direct hit from the north there that the GFS is seeing at day 10. Have to emphasise that's a little bit over the top, I think, and this is what the 6 o'clock run of the GFS wants to do. Up to this point, around days 9 and 10, it's very similar to the midnight run, so we do get that first cooler period coming up at the weekend. But the difference with the 6 o'clock run is that we are much more on the edges of that cold trough. So there's the cold trough still there over Scandinavia, sinking into eastern parts of Europe, but we don't take the ridge with this one up towards Greenland like we did on midnight run. This is the latest, by the way, this 6 o'clock run of the GFS. So we don't take the ridge quite up to Greenland, which means the direct shot of northerlies actually a little bit to the east of the country. That's still a lot colder, and still expect night frost to be coming in with that by day 10. But the real cold shot is going down into Scandinavia and eastern central parts of Europe. Bear in mind, we're talking about real cold. I mean, we're still in autumn, so we're not talking about particularly severe cold conditions, even if we do get this direct hit from the north. But it will be, if we did get that, what we saw on the midnight run, if we got that, would be enough certainly to bring wintry showers into Scotland, some quite substantial night frost. These are how the temperatures are looking over the next few days, so really mild. Tomorrow, temperatures are going to be up to around 17, 18 degrees in the south. This very mild weather continues into Wednesday for southern eastern parts of the country anyway. Thursday, still mild in the south, not as mild as Tuesday, but even so, still talking about sort of mid to high teens Celsius. Notice this turning colder by Friday, or cooler across Scotland and Northern Ireland. By Friday, this cooler air sinking southwards across the whole country. So by Friday, even southern and southeastern parts of the country seeing temperatures dropping by at least 2 or 3 degrees. Then we go into quite a chilly sort of weekend, quite cold on Saturday. Temperatures generally signalled to be in single digits for many parts of the country, but by Sunday a little bit of a recovery is taking place up to the low teens Celsius. That's about average for the 29th of October. Into next week, so temperatures again not all that far from average, maybe a little bit below average for the early part of the week. The main thing is that it's substantially cooler than we've got right now, even if it's not particularly cold. But look what happens by the second half of next week. That's turned proper cold then. Temperatures are going down in the south to just 6, 7, 8 degrees at best. In the north, some parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland struggling up to around 3, 4, 5 degrees. With those northerly winds. That's a proper shot of really quite cold air for early November. Finally, the ECMWF looking like this. So for Thursday, still putting up that warmth into the south, but starting to turn cooler in the north. By Friday, the ridge is changing its position, moving out to the west of the UK, bringing cooler air down from the northwest. That takes us into a mostly dry unsettled weekend, but the wind is coming around this ridge from a northwesterly direction, so it will be cooler with temperatures back to average, possibly even a little bit below, and the risk of some ground frost at night. For the early part of next week, that ridge continues sitting around the UK, so it remains dry. It's going to be a very prolonged dry period coming up if this is right, really, over next week to 10 days. We get towards day 10, and very similar to what the GFS is doing, the ridge pulls further out to the west, so we get this push of air from the north with this cold trough sinking through Scandinavia, probably bringing quite a bit of snow to Scandinavia and northeastern parts of Europe. The Scandinavian winter is about to begin, as it is for northeastern parts of Europe. For us, not those sort of conditions, but certainly significantly cooler, even a bit colder, you would say, and you would expect night frost at the very least to be appearing during these opening nights of November. Bear in mind, as I say, that is in the sort of 7 to 10 day time frame, so it's semi-reliable. There is time for this northerly to be shunted further east and for us to be taken out of it, which may be what happens in the end, because it's very early in the season to be seeing northerly winds coming along. I think the first thing we've got to concentrate on is getting this cooler air in at the end of the week and over the weekend. I think there's pretty good agreement for that to happen. So really very warm compared to time of year over the next 2 or 3 days, but at the end of the week turns cooler, and that continues into the weekend. Temperatures return to average by day and possibly ground frost at night. And then next week, I think we've got to wait a few more days, see whether we are going to get this real shot of northerly winds, or whether, as I suspect, that might end up being pushed off into northern and central and eastern parts of Europe. But all in all, it's something very interesting, certainly a change on what we've had through October, which, as I say, is running very warm, has been a very warm month so far. It looks like things are returning to a cooler situation in the week to 10 day time frame. Now, more on it tomorrow, so come back to that. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.